Hey, how's it going? This is Icon, and you are watching Just Saying, where I do a string of recaps for various things. Today, we will be doing the first recap, which will be the NXT Brooklyn 2 event, which took place at the Barclays Center. Had a lot of good matches, a lot of good stories to tell. Let's just dive right into it, and here we go. Now, for the first match for the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn show, it did feature Austin Aries, the greatest man who ever lived, versus No Way Jose. And I gotta say, right out the gate, me personally, I'm not really a fan of the gimmick. I mean, it's a little silly, and it's it's a joke. Like it's one of those gimmicks where it's like a Santino Marella type gimmick. Like you're not really designed to take it seriously. I will say this though, for the match, despite the gimmick, I did appreciate on the last episode of NXT when they did have No Way Jose come out and actually, just say that, yeah, I like to party, I like to have a fiesta, but I can get serious when I can get serious. I mean, that was actually pretty cool for me because at least then it takes like a joking, like weird, silly character, and it actually puts a little bit of seriousness on it. But the guy's actually a decent performer. Like his work isn't bad. I mean, I would just personally like to see him do something that's not not as goofy with the conga lines and stuff. But then Adam Rose had the party time thing, and that got over for a while in NXT too. But yeah, so him versus Austin Aries. Austin Aries hasn't really been doing a lot of big things. I mean, he goes around with the title greatest man that ever lived. A lot of people know him from TNA, but coming to NXT, it's not really been like the best showcase for him. I mean, they started him out as a face, and then that didn't go over well. But once he turned heel and actually went up, and actually went against No Way Jose, then the fans started to come around a little bit, which is kind of good. I mean, I think he's a better heel than he is a face, anyway. But my personal opinion, he shouldn't even be in NXT. He should be on SmackDown. But the NXT roster's been good enough as it is, so they need all hands on deck. Now, as far as the match is concerned between the two of them, it wasn't a secret. Like everybody knew that. Everybody knew Austin Aries was gonna win. Like it's not a secret. Like it's the Takeover Brooklyn show. It's Austin Aries. It's versus No Way Jose. No Way Jose. He's not. Despite the change in his character, people just don't take him seriously. So, I mean, it's one of those matches where you already know the outcome, but you're just hoping to see a good match. And in the end, I mean, the match was decent. Like, No Way Jose did put up a damn good fight. And I got to give him respect for that because it could have just been a squash match, but he actually showed people that despite this weird gimmick, despite this like kooky weird dancing gimmick, he could actually put on serious things. So definitely, props to No Way Jose, props to Austin Aries. Austin Aries got the win. He made him tap out, and then that led us into the closer of the match where Hideo Itami, after the match was over, came out because Austin Aries attacked No Way Jose after the bell had rung. Now this is pretty interesting because Hideo Itami, he he was missing in action for over a year because they did an angle where he got injured in the parking lot, and with him getting injured in the parking lot, they never actually said who was the person who attacked him. I would have to go back and check to see if Austin Aries was even in the company at the time. I honestly don't think Austin Aries was in the company at that time, but it'd be kind of cool to have a feud between the two of them. Have like an Austin Aries versus Hideo Itami because Hideo wants to get revenge, for Austin Aries attacking him in the parking lot if that's the route they go. But overall, definitely solid match. Definitely solid match. Austin Aries got the win as it should be. Our next matchup showed Billie Kay versus the new debuting Ember Moon. And I have to say I'm very happy about this because they had a lot of new girls, introduced for the first time on NXT, and I like Ember Moon because she offers something different. I mean, she's a black woman. She's not blonde. She doesn't have like some weird, stereotypical gimmick. They actually let her, do something nice, do something creative, do something different. I like when she came out with the red eyes. She had like the red contacts on, and even the outfit and the entrance, like it's cool. Like it's definitely it's something different. It's something refreshing. And I gotta say, at the end of the match, when she pulled off that top rope cork stunner, myself and everybody in the audience, I mean, I would assume everybody pretty much jumped out of their seat. I mean, she offered something a little different, something that's never been seen before. The match itself was a little slow paced at times, but it is understandable because if they're trying to establish Billie Kay as one of the next up and comers and one of like the next up and coming top superstars, then it does kind of make sense to they let Billie Kay get a lot of offense off. They didn't want to just make it a squash match and have Ember Moon just come out and destroy her, which I'm okay with. Like I'm definitely okay with that because I like it still shows, it still keeps Billie Kay looking strong. It shows that Billie Kay can actually, hold her own. She can put on a fight, but then it also puts like the newcomer in a good light too. So the matchup between the two of them, it was cool. Like I said, it was a little slow for me, for me personally, but overall, I'm definitely happy, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of Ember Moon, going forward. Okay, now it's time for the glorious portion of NXT Takeover Brooklyn, and that's the debuting Bobby Roode. Now, I mean, if you're a fan, you've seen the glorious bomb hashtag, that's going on. You've heard the theme music, and I got it's like there's no person on this planet that honestly thought he was gonna lose this match to Cien Almas Andrada, who basically came out dressed like Super Mario with the with the red suspenders on. But I mean, this was a platform for Bobby Roode to shine. Although Cien actually did get some offense, much like with the Billie Kay fight, but it was pretty much designed to be a squash match. I mean, Bobby Roode had the WrestleMania like entrance. He he one time too often turned to the crowd and showcased all his glory, his gloriousness to the audience, which like with the bathrobe on, I mean, a lot of jokes could be made there, but I mean, this match was pretty much to do nothing more than just be a showcase for Bobby Roode. Just to see like what he's gonna be, what's gonna happen going forward. The ending of the match, I would have to say was a little flat for me because the match itself was good. I like the pacing, I like what was going on, but then when he actually hit him with the glorious bomb at the end, it was just kind of like, I was looking for something with a little more impact, but I definitely don't have an issue, with that being his finisher going forward. I just like to see like a little more oomph on it, but overall, good, real good, first time debut for Bobby Roode, and definitely looking forward to seeing some of the matches that that he puts together going forward. And I'm even looking forward to the character because between like the robe, the music, like the arrogantness, like it's a pompish like douchebag character, and I think to have something like that on NXT would be really fun and exciting. Next, we have tag team action with the Revival versus versus Gargancho and Champa, or Garchomp as I like to call them. Is a nice Pokemon reference. But yeah, Garchomp versus the Revival. This was surprisingly like a really good match, and I have to admit, going into it, I didn't really care too much because I kind of figured the Revival would win, but I didn't realize how much of a good fight, that Gargano and Champa would actually put up. So it was refreshing, and I like the Revival. The two of them. The two of them honestly should have got the call up during the draft because the chemistry between the two of them is like really exciting. Like they never leave like a dull moment. They never leave like dead space. There's always a counter. There's always a comeback. Whenever you hit somebody, the other guy's right there to either put a foot on the rope, trip you, do something. Like these guys work in sync together. Like you could tell they have like a real like legitimate chemistry. And I'd actually like to see them go up against some of the more veteran teams in the WWE, like the Usos. Like a team like that that's been together pretty much since birth. But no, but definitely, but as long as Gargano and Champa continue to grow and actually establish themselves as a real tag team and not just two guys that came together, because I love the offense that they had in this match. I love everything that they put on. So let's see what happens going forward. I mean, obviously the next match is going to be between what is it, TM61. That's probably going to be the next team, and then eventually somebody will take the belts off them, and then whoever does take the belts off them will eventually end up losing to Paul Ellering's new tag team that destroyed American Alpha. But good solid tag team match, and yeah, I'm definitely I'm definitely looking forward to see like how they can, how they can make this tag team division grow going forward. Our next match, to me personally, was the match of the night. I thought between Asuka and Bailey. I mean, it was just a great match. Everybody knew what to deliver. Asuka came in, gave it 199, 100%. Bailey came in, gave it, like 1,000,000%, and it was just a good, back and forth, solid contest. It told a story of two competitors going back and forth. Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte, they were all in attendance front row during this match, which I actually thought was kind of cool that in keeping the storylines together, they had Sasha and Charlotte both sitting on separate parts of the arena. They had Sasha. They had Sasha and Becky sitting together behind the barricade where the announce team used to be, and then they had Charlotte off to the side. But I like that, but at the same time, if the beef and the feud between the two of them was really real and really that serious, at some point one of them would have just came around the corner and probably started fighting the other one, which would have been cool. But you don't want it to take away from the performers for the Brooklyn show. So I get that, but I gotta say, at the end of the match, it was I thought Bailey put up a damn good fight. I was really interested in it. Asuka was actually taking some damage because you don't really get to see that often from Asuka, where she's like genuinely getting beat up or someone getting the better of her. But the end of that match, man, when Bailey slapped Asuka, it was like, come on, come on. Asuka hit her with that kick and timber. Bailey's going down, and in women's wrestling, like, you want to see stuff like that. You want to see a good fight. You want to see a good back and forth. You want to see somebody get put down. Like, you want to see a chick get knocked out. Like, that's why people look to these fights. And for a competitor like Asuka, you expect that. You expect the brutalness. You expect like the toughness. You expect the strong style, so to speak. And it delivered. Like, Asuka definitely delivered. They had a little embrace at the end where Asuka tried to, shake her hand and like give her a hug, and you could tell like Bailey did it because it's Bailey, and she's gonna do that. But at the same time, like in the back, like you could see in her face, like she didn't really want to like hug her and congratulate her because she had just lost. But Asuka knocked her out. Got the 1, 2, 3 pinfall, and the end of the match, the way they treated it, with the audience giving Bailey like a standing ovation, and Bailey hugging Sasha, Becky, Charlotte hugging her mom, hugging the little girl that that shows up at all of the NXT shows. She was going up the ramp. They actually treated this like this was Bailey's last match in wrestling, period. It almost felt like a retirement match, but to me, I just took it as she's going to get the call up soon. Like, you can't not think that the call up for Bailey isn't coming. It's definitely coming. Like, it's definitely around the corner. The question is when they're going to pull the trigger, because at this point, if the focus on NXT is to start over with a fresh new group of girls and have this fresh new group of girls to rise together, because you got Nia Jax off the show, you got Alexa Bliss off the show, you got Carmella off the show. So if they're starting over fresh with new girls, the old chicks got to go. So Bailey has to get the call up, and I hope when she does get the call up, I hope she gets called up to SmackDown, because having Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Nia Jax on the Raw brand, if you add Bailey to that mix, it takes away from the SmackDown brand, and it overpowers like the Raw brand. And even if they are going to do that, if you're going to put Bailey on Raw and have Bailey, Sasha, Charlotte, and Nia Jax, you got to put Alicia Fox and Summer Rae, or at least one of them, on SmackDown to even things out. Because as long as Charlotte, Nia Jax, and Sasha Banks are on Raw, Alicia Fox and Summer Rae are never going to get a legitimate run at a title. At least on SmackDown, it's more of an even playing field. So I think it'd be a good idea to move those two girls if you're going to put Bailey on Raw. But I still think Bailey should go to SmackDown. And then even with Asuka, Asuka's just too good. Like, Asuka's too good. She's too fierce of a competitor. Asuka has officially now outgrown the women on the NXT brand. I was watching the last show where they had the 6-man tag where they introduced like the new group of girls. And it's interesting. I'd like to see these girls grow, but like Billie Kay's not ready for Asuka. Morgan, the Jersey girl, she's not ready for Asuka. That other new girl, I can't remember her name, but she was wearing like the blue pants. I actually thought it was blue pants, but I don't. But apparently it's not blue pants. Her name was Cross something, but she's not ready. Even the MMA girl, who looked badass, like the tall girl with the cornrows with the little MMA stuff, she actually looked pretty badass. But like you gotta call a spade a spade. Like Asuka's gonna run through these girls in a matter of like weeks, and she's just going to be. So it's either you put yourself in a situation where you got Asuka holding the women's championship for the rest of her life, or you just call her up now and get it over with. And again, if you're going to call up Asuka, and if you're going to put Asuka on the Raw brand, then you got to put Bayley at SmackDown, or at least something to even it out. But yeah, overall, awesome match by both girls. Definitely a 10. Asuka gets the win, and we'll see where both competitors go from here. The final match of the night, the NXT Heavyweight Championship match, which is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe. And from the opening, when the gentleman came out with the violin and started playing the theme music violin style for Shinsuke Nakamura, it gave it a WrestleMania feel. Like it made it feel important, and I liked it. I like having the guy come out. Like Nakamura should hire this dude and just walk behind him and just play his theme music behind him everywhere he goes. And it made it feel special. It almost made it feel like, well, if he doesn't win the championship tonight, what are we doing here? It's but they've been building this guy for a long time. Now, me personally, this probably isn't going to be a popular thing for me to say, but I'm not a big Nakamura fan. I mean, the gimmick, it's like, his whole thing, like, it's weird, it's like quirky. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not really too impressed by, his presentation. But, his in-ring work is good. Like, I like his, I do like, his style, the strong style. I like what he brings to the table, but but from a character standpoint, the fact that he's undefeated and he wins every single match, it just gets kind of boring after a while because, like, what's the point of getting intrigued or getting interested when you know for a fact that, okay, another Nakamura win, he's going to put on a great fight. You actually want to see some controversy. Like, you want to see him lose. Like, I personally felt when him and Austin Aries had that match, I felt Austin Aries should have cheated to beat him. They should have dragged that feud out a little bit longer and then let Nakamura get the victory. Nakamura has now walked through pretty much the entire roster of every single person that he's come across. And the only person at this point who he actually hasn't wrestled is Bobby Roode. So if you put him in a situation where Nakamura he beats Sami Zayn, he beats Finn Balor, he beats Austin Aries, he beats Samoa Joe for the championship. Now you're gonna have him lose to Bobby Roode after having him run through the entire locker room. I mean, it's weird because Bobby Roode is a hell of a competitor. If he's an awesome competitor, but there's no way you can convince me that Bobby Roode of all people was able to do what the other guys couldn't, because those other guys, they're just as good as Bobby Roode, if not, some may be a little better. Like, they're all on that top tier level. So it's like, well, what made Bobby Roode different than everyone else? Because you gotta at this point, it has to be Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke at some point. They're probably going to have Shinsuke, him and Joe are going to go at it a little bit longer, and then Bobby Roode's going to slide into the picture. And if Bobby Roode takes the title off of him, I'm going to be legitimately surprised. I'm not a fan of the whole undefeated thing with Nakamura specifically, but at this point, either keep him undefeated and eventually just call him up to the main roster. I mean, or when he finally does lose, like, it has to be like a screw job, because they've already put him in a situation where you're made to feel that no one can beat him. I mean, Samoa Joe was the biggest competitor that he had, and I got to give props to Joe for a second, because he came in like a boss. He did his job, he put it down. For a big dude, like, he could fly, man. Like, he could fly, he could put people out. A lot of counters, a lot of the two of them had a good, strong back and forth style match going, but in the end, with the Shining Wizard, when Joe was sitting down, then the knee to the back of the neck, And then finally with the finisher, what is it, the King Sha Sa, Nakamura, Shinsuke Nakamura, he is the new NXT heavyweight champion. We'll see what happens from here, because it's just like with Asuka. At this point, you didn't ran through the whole, the Asian competitors on on NXT, like they're running the show. They ran through the whole thing. They ran through everybody, and I honestly don't see where Nakamura or Asuka goes from here. But we're all fans of this stuff, so we'll definitely tune in to find out. All right, so that was it. That was my NXT Takeover rundown. My thoughts, my views, my opinions. Again, just to get a quick rundown, we have Austin Aries over No Way Jose. I mean, we all knew there was no way Jose was going to win that. We have Ember Moon winning in her debut match, which was also obvious. We had Bobby Roode beating Cien Andrade. That was obvious. The Revival retaining the titles. A lot of people thought that one was in the bag. Asuka retaining over Bayley, and then Shinsuke Nakamura winning the title. So I would probably say the championship match was the only match that wasn't predictable, the heavyweight title match. But every other match on the card pretty much followed the script that we all expected. So, but overall, it's a good show. Like great performances. These people put their lives, their bodies on the line just to entertain us, and I mean, I'm happy with it. I look forward to the next Takeover, and me being from New York, I look forward to the next Takeover Brooklyn. So I'll talk to you guys next time when I do my recap for the 15-hour SummerSlam pay-per-view that's live tonight. Thank you for everybody that watched. Enjoy SummerSlam. Take care. And again, these are just my thoughts and opinions, so I'm just saying.